So continuing from our discussion of models last time and how models can be used to put lots of data together into something that's meaningful, we'll go ahead and start off by introducing the constructor one more time just for review. So in JavaScript we have a constructor that in JavaScript to define a constructor we use functions. So here I'm defining a model, a person, if you will, and this is my definition. That's the one thing you got to remember about constructors. It's like a definition, and a person has a name, right? And usually at birth they don't really have one, so we've got to give them one. And then of course, to keep this simple, we're going to just do this.print equals a function that will print this person's name. Maybe we could call this say, so the person can say their name if somebody asks them. That makes it more sense if we're going to be meaningful about what this model does. You know, if you think of conceptually, what are you building here? Like, I'm building a person, and the model for this person here has a name, and the person can say what they do. So it's the way you kind of want to think about it. Let's here check if we have any errors. Missing semicolon. That's because I just put this name here, and also this.say function. It's all right. We got a semicolon for the end. Remember, when you do this.say, it's still a variable because we are declaring this function the variable method way as opposed to just declaring a function where we don't need semicolons. So then, if I need to create a new person, var person equals new person, maybe we can give this person a number, a new person 1. Then if we say new person like this, and use the JavaScript constructor form, then we would expect that person 1 would have a name and the ability to print their name. See, name, function, ability to print their name. With Backbone, you also can do the same kind of thing, but the nice thing is when you define a constructor like how you have up here, you actually not only define the constructor with the properties that you have, this name and this say, but you also get all the nice Backbone methods for a model, which Backbone considers almost the backbone for what your model should do, if you want to think of it that way. So the easiest way to declare a model, I'm going to just comment this out, with Backbone, now that you know the constructor form, is it's a little different, but I'm going to define my person again. I'm going to call this person2 model because it's different from person above. We're just going to say is equal to Backbone model. And that's it. And then we can console log our person2. And we'll also console log person, just so we can compare the difference between the two. I'm going to clear this, and I'm just going to run it. There we go. So as you can see, person1, or actually, I'm sorry, person returns me a function, and it returns me function person, which is correct. And person2 returns me a function also. I can't see what's inside, but this is the general Backbone function. So both of them are constructor functions, and that's how you know that both of them do the same thing. Now, if I were to do something like var person2 in lowercase equals a new person2. Remember, I've defined my function up here, and we could have done the same thing if we had done this var person1, and I just finished off like this. We could actually take out this function here. Function name, we don't need it, but we can use it. And then let's put down here person1, take out the semicolon, just fix this up a little bit. Does that take care of all of our errors? We just need a semicolon there. Okay, great. Looks pretty clean. Okay, so now the key difference here is instead of defining it the function literal way, which is how I defined it before, I'm declaring function as a variable. I'm declaring person1 as basically my constructor function. And then I'm calling lowercase person1 based on this new person1 object. And I'm going to expect to see a person1 in lowercase object instance. And then here, I'm going to expect to see a person2 object instance of the uppercase person2 constructor. So a little bit messy there, but let's go ahead and just check it out. Just continue to see that these two things are both returning object instances. Cool. So there's a lot of stuff that came back, but the key difference here is the first lowercase person1 returned an object to me, and it had a name and had that same method. This one here returned me a backbone object. So we both used the new keyword in both cases, new person1, new person2. So it's still JavaScript essentially, in that you define your constructor up here or down here, and then you use a new keyword to call it, and then you can create an object instance of your constructor function and start using it immediately. And the nice thing too is, like, you know, I can use, now that I've inherited from Backbone, I can start using some of the methods, right? So if I look at this list here, this is huge, but if I say, okay, it has a get method down here, if I use this get method, I don't ultimately know exactly yet what I'm looking for because I don't have any anything in my object. And you can tell what's in your object here with the attributes, but you know, without anything there, I won't be able to get anything back. So let's look at attributes first, actually, and we'll console log it. And again, we'll compare that now to person1. So run it. See how person1 has, by default from the constructor, it gets a name and say, but person2 in its attributes does not have anything. It doesn't have any of the backbone methods. And the only reason is because when we add this property here, .attributes, it only shows us the attributes for the person2, but not anything from Backbone. So we would still, this is still, like, the key is here, this is still a constructor function, but we need to add more stuff to it for person2 to be unique from Backbone model. So I'll get into that in the next video.